The reason why I was even drawn to this interview is because this lady Anna, if you're familiar with the Young Turks, then you've probably seen her before. I didn't even know that she has a Middle Eastern background. I didn't know that she had a Middle Eastern background. I thought that she was just a European white girl, just being honest. And it made me see things, not made me see her any different, but I was just intrigued by her way of thinking on certain topics, and the fact that she went from being on the left, one of these Democrats, to now waking up, as she would call it, or blasting, I should say, certain aspects of wokeism, and her moving away from the Democratic Party, or I should say the Democratic Party moving away from her, because that's what we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of people, whether it's her, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's RFK Jr., whether it's the things that we talk about in this group with a bunch of us, where I don't think that a lot of our principles and values changed, but I think that the parties have changed. Democrats used to be a party of non-war. Now it seems like, yeah, let's get these wars going. Democrats used to be free speech. Now it's like, no, we need to censor these things. We obviously know the situation with Mark Zuckerberg and him calling out Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for them censoring the Meta platforms during 2020. So it's not that the principles and values that we've had have changed, or that the principles and values that we were attracted to in the Democratic Party have changed. But a lot of times it's the party changing. And maybe this is just one of those times where there is becoming a party switch based on what's convenient, I guess, for the party. They're now pushing new agendas, but there's certain people that will just, go along with it and just, act as if, oh, it's still the party that I, grew up on. It's still the same party. But there's others that are saying, like, hold up, I'm not just going along with these things. Just because y'all have changed doesn't mean that I'm changing. So there's a lot of these people that are going through this. And I always think it's interesting to see what was the turning point for different people. And a lot of ways, it's the same points. It's the same point. So that's why I was kind of drawn to this particular interview. It's a great interview. I recommend that everybody watch it. And if you do get the chance, to go look at it, I think that you'll be sharing it with a bunch of your friends and everything else like that. And I'll actually put the link under this link, or when this video comes out, I'll put the link under there so you guys can go check that out. But let me hold on, let me get to Ant. So Ant wrote that ChatGPT update ain't no joke. Yeah, so we're definitely gonna show this video that Ant sent me over on Instagram, where ChatGPT, we need to be worried. For a lot of us, depending on what your job is, you may want to be worried about what ChatGPT is doing. So let's get into this interview. The first point, I think we're at 21:14. That works. And listen to what they're talking about.
We all get to wake up in the morning and make choices for ourselves. And when I hear the Democratic Party constantly disempower people of color, because that's what they're doing. I mean, really think about it. Like, they keep using this messaging that infantilizes them and makes them seem as though, if it weren't for us white saviors, messing around with these laws and policies, they would never be able to survive. And I find that so gross. I'll give you a specific example.
We talk about this all the time. And it came up in the conversation yesterday. And I made reference to the conversation I had yesterday with my bros a lot, because it just shows the perspective of so many Black people. And it also shows the perspective of Black people that are kind of waking up to this and realizing that, hey, this is not in our best interest. The Democrat, their product that they sell in the store is victimhood. They see the problem. Like, we talk about sales, right? So sales is simply about solving a particular problem. How do I present this product as a solution to this problem that you may or may not have, right? That's why a lot of people end up going to car dealerships and getting cars that they couldn't even afford, because the car salesperson sold them on a problem that they didn't even have. Another example, when you go to the doctors, so a lot of these doctors, because, and I think we're going to actually, she made this point, and she said that when you're a hammer, all you do is see nails, or all you see is nails. When you're a hammer, all you see is nails. So when you're a surgeon, you're almost looking at it like, oh, well, the answer to everything is you to have this surgery. So this is the Democrats. This is their strategy. It's what it has been for a while. It's the same thing why I believe that they're bringing in a lot of the migrants, because they're looking for a new victim group. So when you have the Democrats and they have this product that they're looking to sell, they need to convince people that you are not only a victim, but the only way for you to be successful in this world that we live in, this society in America that is racist, that is so unfair to you, that they have to build that up, right? They have to build that aspect of it up, but then they have to build up the aspect of, well, the only way that you'll have a chance is if you support us because we're in your corner. We're going to provide certain advantages for you. And those advantages that they're providing, in all actuality, it goes back to teaching me how to fish or providing me fish. Or providing me crumbs, I should say. Providing me a little bit of fish, providing me those things instead of just teaching me how to fish, because you're worried that if I learn how to fish on my own, then I'll be bringing in the big fish. I'll be bringing in the big fish by myself. So these are the conversations. This is what people are waking up to. That's the only thing that the Democrats can sell us on. That's why you have Democratic leadership 12 out of the last 16 years. But every single election, just like right now with Kamala versus Trump, they're telling us that if you have to vote for Kamala, because if not, you'll go back to chains and shackles. That is how extreme the selling has become. And what ends up happening, just like when you're trying to, let's say you're looking to buy a car, when the salesperson is pushing something like, yo, this is clear, like, I don't even need this car, and you're trying to convince me that I need this car, and it sounds like you're just giving me BS. Now I'm getting offended because you're insulting my intelligence, because I'm telling you that I need this car for these particular reasons, and you're trying to sell me on this because you'll get more of a commission and it'll be more beneficial for you. So now I'm getting offended because you're insulting my intelligence. It's the same thing with the Democratic Party. This is exactly what they do. And for a lot of people, they're going to be kind of the doofies in the car dealership. I'm not talking about the political aspect, but they're going to be kind of the doofies in the car dealership. Like, yeah, maybe I should get this car. Like, maybe. Meanwhile, the salesperson is just sitting there like, man, this idiot. Like, yo, I got one. We finna get a big commission on this one, boss. And there's other people that are saying like, bro, like, why do you keep, like, I'm telling you that I'm looking for this, and you keep trying to push this to me. Like, there's a disconnect. And then it becomes offensive because you're trying to insult my intelligence. Let's keep going.
This drove me crazy. If it weren't for us white saviors, messing around with these laws and policies, they would never be able to survive. And I find that so gross. I'll give you a specific example. This drove me crazy. Culver City schools, they took a look at their honors program, and they realized that there was a real disparity between the white students and the Latino students. Very few Latino students had enrolled in the honors program. So they decided the right thing to do would be to just scrap the honors program altogether. And that pissed me off. And it pissed me off because, first of all, you're not actually addressing the issue here. I think those Hispanic students are capable of greatness.
Right.
You just have to do the work to get them there, And when you scrap the program, you're essentially communicating to all the students, no, we're going to get rid of this opportunity because we don't believe in you guys. It's doing away with an opportunity rather than seeing what the flaws are in our education system and then rising to the occasion to help these students, where we do see the disparity.
And it's so funny because, and y'all let me know because I do have the other door open. So if that siren gets annoying or the horns get annoying, just let me know. Just type in the chat like, yo, close the door. It's so funny because you always hear, every time Kamala Harris speaks now, what do you hear her say? Right? Well, you hear her say, and I grew up in a middle class family, or as an assistant or as a prosecutor or attorney general, or this is what she says. She says, Donald Trump, instead of fixing a problem, would rather run on a problem, right? He'd rather run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So that's the excuse that she gives when she's talking about why he didn't, or why he called and told the people that he knew to not pass the bipartisan bill regarding the border, right? She always says, because Donald Trump would rather run on a problem than fix a problem. Okay. That is exactly what the Democrats have been doing, especially regarding the Black community. That is exactly what they've been doing. That is exactly what Lyndon B. Johnson made clear that his social programs would do. Welfare and all these other social programs that incentivize the Black man not being in the house, the Black father not being in the household, and incentivizing, empowering Black women at the expense of emasculating Black men. That is exactly what the Democrats have been doing. They'd rather run on a problem than fix a problem. Every single one of their policies and strategies, it goes back to, are you teaching me how to fish, or are you just giving me a little bit of fish just to hold me over while everybody else learns how to fish, while you learn how to fish, while you teach your kids how to fish? But they do not want to fix. If racism was fixed in America, let's say that racism was fixed or prejudice was fixed, and I don't know what that is going to look like, because I told y'all, I think racism is just natural. People look out for their people first. Now, their people may just be their friends at the lunch table in school, or their people may be their household, their brother, their mother and dad, or it may be people that look like them. But it's naturally going to be the people that are in your bubble, the people that you're close to. So it's just natural. It's just natural. Now, how we define racism, that's going to be different, but usually it comes from using a powered position to provide privilege for your people, maybe at the expense of others. Well, when my goal is to, and this, we were talking about this on the phone, actually, my goal is to do well so I can establish an amazing network, so I have something to pass down to my kids. That is using a position of power that I'm creating for providing privilege for people that I decide that are close to me. So I think it's always going to be there. But going back to the point, we can argue about the definition another time. Going back to the point, as far as the Democrats do not want their base to have their problem solved. Because if they have their problem solved, then what are they going to sell you? It's just like the doctors. It's just like big pharma. If you're not sick, then what am I going to sell you? If I'm a hospital, if you're not injured, if you're not sick, if you don't need to be here, then what am I going to sell? I sell things to sick people. What am I? I'm going to destroy my business. And it's the same thing with the Democrats. That is why they do not want to fix a problem. And even in the conversation yesterday that I had with my bros, I said, which group benefits from us just being in chaos and hating each other? Which group benefits more? I think the Democrats benefit more. I think the Republicans are more like, look, man, it's a capitalist society. We need less government. It is what it is. I'm trying to create advantages for me and mine. Figure it out, you and yours. Which group benefits the more from us hating each other? The Democrats love that because that's what they're going to run on. They're going to run on. I'll give you an example. When Kamala Harris comes out and says, how are you going to pay for this plan or whatever, she throws out a bunch of these plans and always gets asked, well, how are you going to pay for it? Right? It's either going to come in taxes from us or as she says, only people that are making over a certain amount of money, or it's going to come from them printing out more money and causing inflation. And obviously that impacting how much or what our dollar is worth. So even, and we've touched on this before, now she tries to say, oh, well, I'm going to make the rich pay their fair share. Now, what are you creating? You're creating a war between the lower class and middle class, which already probably looks at the upper class, the people that make more money. There's a lot of people that look at them just naturally like hating on them. What do we do? Come on now, let's be real. Matter of fact, my boy was, he used the example, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but follow me. He used the example of when he goes back home. He's had a very successful career. He's making good money. And when he goes back home, people say, oh, you bougie, you uppity, you all this stuff. They're just hating and jealous. Let's be real. You're just mad that I'm doing a little bit better than you. And anybody successful has gone through that. Anybody successful has gone through it. When you go back home to the people where you're from, whether it's your family or your friends in your community that you grew up in, and when you're more successful than everybody else, there's a little bit of envy there. It's just natural. So what do the Democrats do? What does Kamala do? She creates a war almost between the lower class and middle class, have them mad at the elite entitled upper class, to the point where it's like, yeah, they need to pay more. They need to pay more, to the point where now I don't care if you're just getting the money from the wealthy people. I don't care if you're using that, because that doesn't affect me. Matter of fact, I'm hating on them anyway. So yeah, take the money from them to create it. So then we don't mind. So it's creating just internal fighting between us, just based on the government having a bad budget and not being able to generate enough money themselves. And that's another great video that we're going to touch on with Ant, the former head of BET. She sold BET, and then she went into this community and had an experience where she's like, hey, y'all have no money in this town. We need to use businesses to generate money in this town, not just prey on taking money in taxes from the people that live there. So let's keep going. Let's keep going.
You know, get to where we want them to be. That's the right way to approach it. But there's just this weird, like, defeatist mentality. And I'm honestly also very sick of, like, white people going around being offended on behalf of marginalized people.
Oh my God, they're just virtue signaling. It's disgusting.
It
It's
is.
like,
It is.
I'm the good guy.
Yep.
I will. Do you remember this? Oh
I will
my
save
God.
you. Right?
There was an ad.
Yeah, watch this video that they're about to show. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. And think about how you thought maybe 4 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, seeing this type of video compared to maybe how you think now.
That went around, forgive me, and it had like actors that I had loved. One that I trained back in the day when I was like 27. And it was like, I can't recall exactly, but it was like, I'm responsible. Or I'm sorry that I didn't, and who knows what, basically taking on the history of racism. And I thought, this is so cringy and awful.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility for every unchecked moment.
For every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was.
Every not so funny joke. Every unfair stereotype.
Every blatant injustice, no matter how big or small.
Every time I remained silent.
Every time I explained away police brutality or turned a blind eye.
I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters,
Our friends, our family. We are done watching them die.
The Black community vomited it back.
Yes, I'm vomiting as I'm looking at it. You know who loves this? Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, Van Jones, Michael Eric Dyson. These are the people that love this type of stuff. That was so like, it just screams, we pity you. We pity you. I'm sorry. I take responsibility. You're taking responsibility away from me. That's not a positive. You're taking responsibility for what? For what? But this is how you get bullied into. This is the 2020 where we're gonna write Black Lives Matter on the streets. We're going to bully white businesses into putting BLM in their stores, and oh yeah, along with those BLM, yeah, you support LGBTQ too, because if not, then we're gonna cause havoc on your store. Yeah, that times. This is what that goes back to. It's like, white people, stop. You're not. You may have good intentions, but this ain't it. Stop allowing people to bully y'all into doing something that is actually destructive to us compared to actually something that's going to be beneficial. It's embarrassing. Like, this is so embarrassing. Like, when I see something like this, I'm just like, damn, like, are we that weak? It's almost like they're talking to like a baby. Like, oh, I take responsibility. I'm sorry. You're a child. I screamed at you because I thought that you could do something, but you know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even expected that you should be able to do this. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know what it feels like to y'all. But this is the Democratic Party, and Ant just said it. Ant just said it. Why would you give people what they need to no longer be dependent on you? That's the Democratic logic. Why would you give people what they need to no longer be dependent on you? Playing the victim. Oh, man.
And as they
saw right
should.
through it.
As they should. I would too.
And being the mom.
Like, are we looking to build strong? This is why we always talk about it. And you got to point a finger at the leaders, or the supposed to be leaders, the men. How emasculated have you become to where, like, this is the thing that we embrace? Like, what do we teach our kids? Don't we teach our kids, like, you're responsible for your outcomes? It doesn't matter. Like, when you this is screaming, the refs cheated. The refs cheated us. Yeah, you know, there may be some games where the refs were, you know, on our side. Like, I recall some games growing up where you play teams like, I remember like Bayshore, or like there were certain games when we played against Ridgewood where I swear, like, yo, the refs just on one. But now when I hear, like, I have friends that have kids that play, and when I hear them say, it was the refs or it was this, I'm just sitting back like, what? Like, yo, how soft is this? Like, the refs, that's just life. Some things are going to be move in your favor. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, it's the refs. Have you ever heard somebody say that they won because the refs? When the refs did things in their favor? No, you only hear people complaining about the refs when you lost. And that's the same thing with life. We only hear people complaining about things when, it's the refs. It's white supremacy holding me back. So you don't get any benefits from you being black. You didn't get a job because you knew such and such hooked you up. You were cool with that. But then when it works against you, it's, white supremacy. How can we stop it? Stop. This is not manly. This is not manly behavior. It's not womanly behavior.
Of a black child. The reason I really don't like it is because if you tell my daughter the world's systemically against her, then if she ever falls down, there's no agency to say, like, why did I fall down? Let me pick myself back up. Let me reapproach. It's,
agreed.
I'm a victim. And as a victim, you're fundamentally disempowered to change anything.
Right.
So part of me...
You're not, as soon as you embrace being a victim, you give up all of your power to change your situation. You look at it through a lens of, this is happening to me. This is all just happening to me. How many, like, we all know people that are like that. How you doing? Oh my God, like, I lost my job because this person, this happened. Everything's happening to you. And it's going to continue to happen to you until you flip the switch and go from victim to being a proactive person that holds yourself accountable and responsible for the situation that you're not only in, but for getting to the position where you want to be. Now, you just heard, I'm not sure if you heard, because of how I was clipping it up. Well, not clipping it up, but how I was kept pausing it. But her daughter's black. So that's why she was saying, like, yeah, if my daughter embraces just being a victim and this happened to me, then there's never going to be, listen to what she just said, that agency in order to hold themselves accountable and to see a way out of that situation. There's never a way out of the situation if you just embrace victimhood.
And as a victim, you're fundamentally disempowered to change anything.
Right.
So part of me wonders if this isn't some sort of conspiracy theory narrative of racism to keep people of color down by telling them they've got no hope.
Yes. Just look at why Lyndon B. Johnson said that he gave out the social programs. Oh, well, we'll have black people following us. What did he say? 100 or 150 years? We're probably outdoing it. When you give people things like, yo, stop. Yo, when you give people things that they don't deserve, it hurts those people. And that is exactly why later on we're going to talk about Bronny and Bronny James, and we're going to talk about Kamala Harris. When people are given things based on anything other than meritocracy, we think that we're doing them a favor, but in all actuality, we're not.
I've often wondered that by making them angry, which then alienates those of us who, where there is injustice, would have previously got involved. And now we're kind of like, I'll just stand here because I'm paralyzed to know what to do. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be a savior, but I don't want to get involved. Like, I don't know. Where there are real moments that, like this that you're talking about, right? Like doing the work for the Hispanic kids to make sure they have the resources they need.
Right.
It's like it gets taken away, so their opportunities get taken away.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, when I
All right, so we're going to move on to another clip. As y'all can tell, I really like this interview. But we can't listen to the entire thing. So we're going to move on. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.